Hey, everybody, this is Erica from In the Company of Cards. Happy to see you on this Friday. So, thank you for subscribing, liking, sharing, all of the above. I'm also really excited because my Substack has been called a bestseller. It's been just named a bestseller. So, thank you for that. Uh, if you are not following me on Substack, I would love it if you would. Substack is a platform where I write instead of talk. And I write there once a week, usually on Wednesdays. And you do not need to pay to read what I write, although some people do. It's just supporting the work. So I have a subscription option there, but you can certainly subscribe for free. And I'd love you to go over and check out my best-selling Substack. So I'm in a good mood. So because I'm in such a great mood, I thought I would look at a bunch of different issues. Some may be more serious than others, and they are in like no order particularly. I will say too that I have a Sunday conversation all geared up and in the can. So look for that on Sunday. This will be with someone whom you've seen before, not for a long time, but we have spoken before, and it'll give us a little bit of a heads up as to what's coming in the summer. This is a an astrologer. So check out my Sunday video on Sunday. So, okay. First question. There's some questions that I'm more excited about than others, but I'm trying to contain myself and save that part for last. Okay. So something that's been in the news, of course, is Sean Diddy Combs's trial, and the hair-raising, harrowing, horrifying testimony by Cassie Ventura, the woman whom he beat up more than once. And so, his defense attorneys are saying, well, he's a certain guy with certain proclivities, but come on. What I want to know is whether he's going to get convicted. So, will Diddy spend the rest of his life in jail? And what I'll do is I'll look for the older man because apparently his hair has gone white from sitting in jail as long as he has, and with facing the the future that he's facing. So let's just look and see what's going to happen with Diddy. Just what a sordid situation. Okay, so we're going to look for the older man and see what's around him. Okay. Hope you're all well and ready for a weekend. Okay, so this stands for once, not for you know who, but I mean, arguably somebody just as bad. This will stand for Diddy. Okay. Okay, and I think I'm going to probably want to pull clarifiers, maybe not on everything, but on some stuff. So let me pull those before I start talking about these original five cards. It's an interesting reading. So we have the lily and we have the mice. Now we know that lily means sort of peace, ease, um, maturity, all of that. Well, any of that he had has been eroded, eaten away, hence the white hair. Here he is. But look at the fourth card. It's the stork, positive change, and then the tower. Now, since I'm the one doing the reading, I am not looking at this particularly from his perspective, but more from, you know, my perspective and the perspective of all of us. So I am going to say that, yeah, his peace of mind has been shredded. He's really anxious. He knows what he deserves. Here he is. And I think that the stork being positive change means that he will be in jail. This is him being incarcerated. This can stand for a prison. Okay, so I pulled cards on him, on the stork, and on the tower. So for him, the party's over. The clarifiers are the scythe, the snake, and the bear. So he has met his match in the law. Uh, he will be taken down, and it will not be pleasant for him. The snake, the scythe and the snake together are not good. In fact, I wonder if he could be in danger when he gets to prison. It's a federal case, so he'd be in a federal prison, which I guess is probably better than a state prison. I mean, I don't know, but he will face there will be people there who will want, I suspect, the street cred of having, gotten him. Then we have this very odd stork, positive change, bouquet, young woman, and coffin. I do think that the positive change comes for Cassie Ventura and other women victims of his. By the way, there were male victims as well, but other victims, they're the ones who will be reaping the reward. He will probably not just face imprisonment, but money damages. So their situations, these young victims or these female victims and the male ones will be compensated, and he will be incarcerated. This is an enclosed space, so it's another card for prison. Here's our prison card, and then we have crossroads, house, and key. They're gonna have to figure out where they're gonna put him. The prison system. Crossroads is about choices. Uh, where they put him will be key to whether he lives out a long life in jail or whether he gets taken out. But this key can be mirrored with Lily. So I think that the prison system will take his celebrity status into account and put him in a prison where he can be protected from people who would want to do him in. But bottom line, he's going to go to jail for a long time, as he should. All right, that's Diddy done. All right. This next thing has nothing to do with that. It has to do with a very sort of interesting infighting situation in the Democratic National Committee between David Hogg and everybody else. Now, David Hogg, in case you don't remember, was originally came to fame because he was one of the Parkland shooting victims. I don't think he was shot, but he was at Parkland. That's the point. He was at Parkland when there was that shooting, that school shooting. And he was a very composed and articulate spokesperson for his fellow students and for gun legislation, etc. And he has since gone to Harvard, I think, my school. Let me tell you what I dug my school ring out because I'm so proud of Harvard and their stances, and I have more to say about Harvard in a minute. But I decided I would start wearing my Harvard ring because I'm just proud of them. But anyway, he went to Harvard, and he has been now, well, for the past little while, he has been one of the co-chairs of the DNC. Now, that's quite a position with a lot of power and influence, certainly with a big platform from which to speak. And he has gone on this big campaign uh, called Leaders We Deserve. And he's trying to raise money to primary Democrats who he feels are kind of not helpful to his cause, behind the times, not moving aside for the younger generation, not aware and clued in and don't know an Apple iPhone from Facebook. They don't know the differences. But anyway, he's started this sort of campaign to raise money to primary uh, Democrats whom he feels shouldn't be there. Now, this is not approved of by the DNC as a whole. They don't like it at all because, I mean, I guess the DNC's point of view is, shouldn't we be concentrating on you know who and how we can get rid of you know who? Why are we why are we doing this circular firing squad thing? And so they have taken aim, speaking of circular firing squad, at David Hogg. So I know that the other day, Malcolm Kenyatta, who is another co-chair, he's young, I think he's 34, something like that. Young, bright, black um, representative. He um, he has taken David Hogg to task for his aggressive attempt to clean house at the DNC. And so I saw him on MSNBC being interviewed, and I also had seen David Hogg on the same program a couple of days before being interviewed. And so I suspect that, I don't know, Kenyatta has been trotted out to champion the cause of the DNC as a whole, which would be some of these dinosaur people that uh, David Hogg wants to primary. And so I think that uh, David, it's kind of like, it's in a good analogy. Let's say you work for McDonald's, and let's say Burger King is your competitor. Instead of going after Burger King, you, as the McDonald's employee, start bad-mouthing McDonald's hamburgers and saying things like, well, I mean, you can't have it your way at McDonald's. That's the other guy. And we need to, start a campaign where at McDonald's you can have it your way. It's a stupid example, but in other words, David Hogg is being accused of having the wrong enemy in his sights. And it's the enemy that is the DNC, of which he is a co-chair. So I just want to know about David Hogg and his future in the DNC as a chair or otherwise. These two political parties, both of them, have their very entrenched ways, and they do not like their boats rocked, especially by somebody from inside. So I just want to know how he's going to do at the DNC. Again, he's the co-chair. Is that going to last? Is he going to be kicked out? Are they going to see the merit in his argument? Will he gain followers to his cause? I don't know. I gave him $5 because why not? So let's see. So I'm going to use the young man for David Hogg. And he really does embody that young man energy, which is aggressive and assertive and maybe a little bit impetuous. So it's the perfect card for him. Looking for the young man. That's David Hogg. Okay, so here he is, and I'm pulling the two cards that precede him and the two cards that follow him. Now, remember, the DNC as an operation, right? As a corporation, as an entity, may not be thrilled with him. But that's not to say that everybody feels that way. Um, a lot of people are a little bit disenfranchised by the Democratic Party and its perceived relative non-action in the face of this evil that we are are confronted with. So these five cards are interesting, but I definitely want to pull some clarifiers. So let's see what we get. Okay, he's bold and he's brave. And sometimes boldness and bravery are rewarded, and sometimes not, until maybe, as my mother would say, in the fullness of time. And I think that might be the situation here for David Hogg. So our original cards are the whip, the bear, here's David Hogg, we have the fish, and we have clover. So what do those mean? Well, there has been a lot of arguing about the moves that he's been making. Um, a lot of name calling and just ugliness. And I'm going to say too, bullying, because I think that they think he's trying to bully them. And in return, they're saying, excuse me, we're the DNC. If anybody's going to do any bullying, we are going to bully you. So that's these cards here. The center is David Hogg. This is the card for emotions. And this is a card for quickness. The DNC cannot afford this kind of infighting. So something's going to have to give. And, he's one guy. And even though he has a lot of grassroots supporters, and the DNC is going to have to really think about that and evaluate that, because do you want to disenfranchise your voters more than you already have with your non-action? Hmm. But I feel like there's a lot of knee-jerk reaction to him because he's being aggressive, saying, I'm going to primary some of you all who aren't doing anything. That's pretty aggressive. I think they're going to be aggressive back at him quick, fast, and in a hurry. I don't think this feels very lucky in this horizontal line. I just think it feels like fast. They feel some type of way about him, and there's going to be a reaction. Okay, so then I decided that I would pull clarifiers on him, on those fish, and on the clover. So here he is. His clarifiers are ship. So here he is moving forward with this initiative to sort of inject new blood into the DNC. And look what happens. It hits a dead end. He gets stopped. And also, reputationally harmed, because that's what happens in politics. Reputationally harmed. I already saw um, Malcolm Kenyatta call him uh, all kinds of liar on national TV. So, that would cast some aspersions on your reputation if you're being called a liar and you're being called disingenuous. So that's not good. Okay, then we have this fish card. Now, by the way, fish is not just emotion. Fish is money. He is raising money. Like I said, I gave him $5. I mean, how many of us gave him $5? I don't know. Um, But money, which originally starts out as being, a reward for at least somebody doing something, right? But look what happens. It's cut and then stymied. So I feel like he will be removed from his post because they will argue, you can't serve two masters. You can't be simultaneously the co-chair of the DNC and then go out of your way to undermine candidates supported by the DNC by trying to raise funds to primary them. So that he will be cut off at the knees. And when I go vertically, now instead of this being quick, because I do think it will happen quickly, here, Clover, since I'm going vertically and therefore looking at it with different cards, Clover changes now to luck and good stuff. But look, there is doubt about that. And his place at the table, the chairs, the the legs of his chairs at the table, the DNC table, get gnawed off. GNAWED, get chewed off by DNC bigwigs who say, okay, you got to go. You are too much of a young upstart and you're causing us problems and you're a distraction. So you got to go. So I think that's what will happen to him. Again, not every hero wears a cape. Not every hero is lauded as a hero. And not every prophet is heard in their own time and country, as the Bible says. So he may be self-immolating here, sort of, I don't know, setting himself on fire in a way that is destructive. He's young, and young people are passionate, and young people want what they want when they want it. And the DNC, among other things, is not young and full of dinosaurs. But dinosaurs can chew you up and spit you out. And I suspect that's what will happen with David Hogg. Not to say that he won't live to fight another day in another venue, because I think he will. But I think that he will not stay on as the co-chair of the DNC. Okay, this next thing. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. So I don't know if you've heard this, but the Department of Homeland Security, which is headed by dog killer in chief Kristi Noem, is apparently the DHC, the Department of Homeland Security, is in talks with a TV guy, a Canadian as it happens, which is neither here nor there, but to do, you ready for this? A reality show. And what is the reality show's, uh, what is its premise? The premise is that they will pit against each other people, all of whom are vying to get um, US citizenship. Now, I don't know what kind of vying they would want to do. I mean, they would be asked to do. I don't know whether they'd be like, I don't know, fighting each other like gladiators in an arena, or whether it would be like Big Brother, where they have challenges and where there are secrets and plots and alliances. I don't know. But apparently it's a thing. Now, you know that you know who is all over it and would love to have this happen. They say Kristi Noem is not part of these talks, but she knows about it. And, you know, she's big on changing wardrobe and injecting her lips and stuff like that. Entertainment purposes only. So she probably would think this was a great idea. So what they're saying is, and they say that it's in its early planning stages, and that whoever wins this, I don't know, TV show thing will get citizenship, and that everybody else won't be, it won't be like there'll be a bus waiting outside to immediately deport them, although there could be, but they're saying that those people will still, be have the chance to go through the normal channels uh, to get citizenship, which probably does mean they'll be deported and then we'll have to start from square one if they still want to be here. But I guess what I want to know is, will this TV show ever see the light of day? So the card that I'm going to use for a TV show is the stars, because the stars is anything like technology and internet and TV. So stars will stand for the show. Is it going to be a thing, or will it die a an ignominious death as it should? Okay, so we're looking for stars, and that will stand for this DHS. Can you become an American citizen TV show? Okay. All right, so stars. Again, please do like, share, subscribe, hit the notification button, because I don't necessarily post on a regular basis, just when the urge strikes. So if you hit the notification button, you will be notified when I upload a new video. Please do that. I know I sound like a commercial, but there you go. Okay. So this stands for this proposed TV reality show. Who wants to be an American citizen or whatever. They don't have a name for it. I'm just calling it that. Okay, so these are the five, but I think I'm going to draw some clarifiers. Hmm. And then I'm going to pull just a three-card postscript. Okay, interesting. So we have the dog, we have the scales, we have the star that stands for this TV show, we have you know who, and we have the whip. So first thing I want to talk about is these two cards, the dog and the scales. You know that this will be a legal morass, just a legal nightmare. So lawyers will be combing through, um, you know, legal documents and stuff, law books, to say, wait, is this even like a thing? Is this legal? Can we do this? I mean, is this Spartacus? Where are we? Is this Caesar and Rome and all that? That we're going to put people in what? So this will have to be examined by the lawyers. And there will be lawyers, of course, who say, oh my God, you can't do that. But then there will be lawyers who say, yeah, bring it on. Because we know 47 is able to find lawyers who will do his bidding. This is the show itself. This is him. And this is him arguing for why it's such a great idea. We know that he's a reality TV guy. That's who he is. So he will be absolutely in favor of this, and he will want his lawyers to argue that yes, this should be a thing that happens. But his giving approval for this may well create even more legal problems for him, as if he doesn't have enough. So now I looked at the show itself and I pulled some clarifiers. So we have birds, which is to say, of course, this is going to create a lot of buzz. Like, oh my God, I'm going to tune in and watch that. Let me put that on my calendar. Other people, of course, will be horrified, but buzz is what they like. What you know who loves. And he will say, "Oh, this is great. This is terrific. This is like, who thought of this idea? I should nominate them for the, you know, some kind of medal of honor or something." But I really think it gets shut down for the time being. This is a center line. So right now, everybody's like, "Wait, what? You're not what? That can't happen." So right now, it's not going anywhere. And then we have you know who, and the clarifiers are the cross, the book, and the snake. He has no idea the world of trouble that this will create for him if it goes forward. I mean, somebody will come up with some charges against him some kind of way in relation to this if this is allowed to proceed. I mean, it's very, very Caesar uh, and Roman Colosseum, all that. All right. Then we have the whip as our last card, remember, and that's arguments about this. The lawyers back and forth arguing whether this is a go or not. And the clarifiers are the bear, the fish, and the ship. You know, the bear, again, somebody wins. This is one of my cards for you know who, you know, in his most narcissistic state, which of course he's always in a narcissistic state. But this is money. Like he can say something like, well, it'll create revenue that will offset the cost to the American public of all this stuff we're trying to do to get rid of these immigrants. That's the argument that he'll make. And then the ship, I don't know, well, you know, the ship generally will mean moving forward. But bear in mind, this is the farthest vertical line out, which means that this show will not be coming out this summer. It's a ways away if it actually happens. But I'm not thrilled seeing that ship there because we thought a lot of things weren't going to happen, and then they did. Am I right? And then I pulled the three card postscript just to see if there's anything else about this. And we have the key, the mountain, and the fox. I feel like I said, that this won't happen right away. I think there'll be some time between now and when it actually does happen. But I don't love this fox. So they'll find some kind of way to move it forward where it doesn't look as bad as it really is. Listen, America is a capitalist country. And so the bottom line is always the dollar bill. And even though this is immoral and unethical and cruel and God knows unusual, uh, I think it will go forward. But I think that 47 will pay a very heavy price for it. So stay tuned, as they say in television land. Okay, the next thing. Oh, so here's a little aside while I'm shuffling my cards. One of my viewers mentioned that they had seen my book in French and ordered it in French. So I wrote to the publisher and I said, did you sell foreign rights to my book and I didn't know? Or is this like a pirated thing? Because I looked it up and I saw that in fact it had been translated into the French. I see the person who translated it, and but I had not been notified. And my publisher said, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We meant to tell you that. And we'll be sending you copies of the French version." Okay, just so you know, I mean, anyway, it's quite a coup. It's quite an accomplishment to have your book be able to have rights sold to foreign language distributors. So I am delighted, thrilled, over the moon. I wish that I had found out a different way than through YouTube, but I am very grateful to my YouTube viewer for tipping me off to that little fact. So, the world is small, and if you think somebody's not going to find something out, they will. So, my publisher is on it, supposedly. And but anyway, I'm delighted. So if French is your native language and you would like to get a copy of my book, apparently the French version is available through Amazon.fr, which is French Amazon, and probably in bookstores in France, wherever books are sold. So pick up a copy. I mean, I'm looking forward to being sent the French version myself. Just I read French, and so I'm curious to see how they did, how the translation um, translates, so to speak. But anyway, thank you to that viewer who let me know that that was a thing. Okay. Um, Here's some trivia that I thought was interesting. So Harvard years ago bought a copy of the Magna Carta. And when they bought it, they paid the equivalent. Well, no, they paid like $27.50 for it, which today, in today's money, would be like $500. And apparently, they thought it was a copy, like they didn't think it was real, just a copy of the Magna Carta. Come to find out, it was one of the original copies of the Magna Carta. I'm going to leave it to you to Google what the Magna Carta is, but I just find this supreme irony. In short, and I hope you do your homework. So I don't give homework all the time, but when I give it, I hope you do it. I know a lot of you do. In short, the Magna Carta is a very, very early document from like, I don't know, 1200, something like that, which lays out the the rights and responsibilities of a monarch relative to his people. In other words, a monarch is not, you know, God, and that people have rights. It's one of the earliest known written documents in the in that our system is based on. Um, and I think it's just how ironic that Harvard owns this copy. Now, by the way, so they paid 27.50, um, which was the equivalent of $500 at the time that they paid for it. But it apparently is, as you can imagine, beyond price. It is priceless. So here you have 47 taking away from my alma mater a billion here, a billion there, a billion here, a billion there on a whim, just because he's vindictive, entertainment purposes only. And then come to find out Harvard possesses this document, this invaluable document. And what is it about? The rights of man, the rights of human beings, the rights of citizens, and the responsibilities of rulers towards their subjects, so to speak. So I love it. And I just want to say, I just want to ask the cards, why did that all of a sudden pop up? Like, why did this all of a sudden pop up that this copy that Harvard has of the Magna Carta is an original, an invaluable original? What is the message? I guess that's what I want to say. I want to ask the universe. What is the message in that document popping up now? Apparently, the law school has it, Harvard Law School. Okay, so we'll let spirit. No, you know what? I'm going to use the letter, and that will stand for the actual document, the Magna Carta. What is the universe's message in having this issue pop up serendipitously right now? Okay, so let's look and do your due diligence and just Google. That's all you got to do. Google the Magna Carta, Magnacarta. Okay, so we're looking for the letter, and that will stand for this document that spells out the rights and responsibilities of rulers and the ruled, and makes clear that citizens have rights. So I just pulled a five card. What was the universe's message in having this thing pop up now? So we have the mountain, the snake, the letter, the fox, and the bear. I love this. I think the message is there is someone who is abusing their power in all the Machiavellian ways that power can be abused. And as articulated in the Magna Carta and subsequent documents like, oh, I don't know, the Constitution, there is an effort afoot to abridge our rights, to block us from our rights, to cause us problems because of the abridgment of our rights. And so it is, you know what it is? It feels like the ancestors giving us a heads up that this document and the ideas enshrined in it, and oh yeah, the Constitution, need to be defended from every enemy and would-be enemy. That's 47. That's the people behind Project 2025 and the oligarchs that the um, principles enshrined in that document and others need to be safeguarded. So look at God, as my mother-in-law would say. Look at God. Okay. Okay. I'll end with well, no, there's two more things I want to talk about. So yesterday I watched no, you can't watch it because it's not video, but I listened in real time to the oral arguments delivered in front of the Supreme Court about birthright citizenship. Now, okay, I'm trying to, I try to make things clear. So I just want to say it's not that the lawyers were arguing about benefits of birthright citizenship and the fact that it should be maintained. It was something different than that. So there have been lots of, royal edicts handed down by you know who, and they have been smacked down one by one, one after the other by judges around the country. And so the question becomes, can a judge in a particular jurisdiction smack something down that 47 wants to do, and then have that smackdown count for the entire country? So, for example, take birthright citizenship, because obviously this is related to that. Let's say you have a baby in California, and California, being one of the liberal states that I'm proud to live in, California says, well, the rule is birthright citizenship, so that baby is a citizen. 47 doesn't like that. And so let's say that there is a rule that now says, okay, California, do you, that's fine. But Alabama, Idaho, Montana, Dakotas, if you all want to not obey that birthright citizenship rule, you can make a state rule that says, yeah, nah, uh-uh. I don't care if that baby was born in California. When they cross over into, I don't know, Arizona, New Mexico, when they go Texas, when they cross over into one of those states, they are illegal. They are not American. Now, can a judge do that? Can a judge say, yeah, because this is Texas, and in Texas we don't put up with that birthright citizenship thing? Or conversely, could a judge in Texas say, Um, or could a judge in New Jersey say, you can't tell, I mean, not New Jersey, California, can a judge in California say, no, 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 that is a citizen, that person, that child is a citizen. In Texas, in Arizona, wherever they go in the United States, they're a citizen. Well, who gets to make the call, right? The judge in California or the judge in Texas? And furthermore, can a judge in a state say, and what I just said goes for the whole entire country? This is the slippery slope. So you've had a lot of judges around the country smacking down you know who, and then the smackdown is a national thing. That the judge might be located in, I don't know, New Hampshire, but they object and say it's illegal for you know who to do God knows what, and illegal across the country. So the Supreme Court's conundrum, which means the Supreme Court's problem, is on the one hand, they're asking themselves the question, can a particular judge in a particular jurisdiction smack down a presidential order and then make that smackdown effective in all 50 states? Because if that's the case, that would certainly hamper the ability of the president to just willy-nilly do what willy-nilly is doing right now, which is making all of these decrees all over the place. Get rid of DEI, get rid of books, get rid of statues, get rid of citizens, get rid of this, get rid of that, get rid of the other. Now, the problem that the Supreme Court has is that they have a rogue president, entertainment purposes only, who is running around like a chicken with his head cut off, outlawing different things. But who gave him the privilege of doing that? Who gave him the right to do that? They did. And are they ruining the day that they gave him power for his decisions to take precedence over a decision made by the judiciary? Because the judiciary, by the way, can go all the way up to the Supreme Court. Now, we've heard Justice Roberts, the Chief Justice, say that 47 needs to, he hasn't said 47's name exactly, but he says you shouldn't threaten judges with disbarment or with jail, which 47 has done. He's done all of that. Roberts does not think that that is a seemly thing to do. But it's more than unseemly, of course. It's dangerous. But the thing is, who gave you know who the power to do that? Roberts did, and his court. So now what do they do? The concern is that they will throw the baby out with the bathwater. You know, will they allow these judges to keep putting roadblocks in front of you know who? Or will they decide that that's giving the judiciary too much power in a given state over the whole country? Will they say, you know what, 47, matter of fact, we were wrong. And you know how we took back Roe? Okay, well, we're going to take back that presidential immunity we gave you. Are they having buyer's remorse about, that's the question I think I want to ask the cards. Are they having buyer's remorse about having granted him presidential immunity? Because in the end, that presidential immunity could come knocking at the Supreme Court's door and saying, you know, I have authority over you. Even you must listen to what I say and do what I say to do. I mean, and at that point, then the Supreme Court has zero power. and they would have given it up willingly. So I guess that's what I want to look at. I'm not so much going to look at what the ruling will be on this particular case. Eventually I'll look at if they rule on birthright citizenship, what will happen with that. But this other, I think that the question that I and you are interested in is, will that buyer's remorse about extending presidential immunity to the degree that the Supreme Court did, will they somehow amend what they gave him? Will they curtail what they gave him so that he cannot run roughshod over us the way that he's doing? Because if he runs roughshod over us, he will run roughshod over the court. So let's see, I think I'm gonna use, no, you know what, let Spirit do the work. Um, I'm asking about presidential immunity and the future of presidential immunity. Okay, so Spirit's gonna do all the work, all the heavy lifting. So whatever's in the center there, that's gonna be important. So I'll tell you what, this court is really between a rock and a hard place. And who put them there? They put their own damn selves there. So there is a lot of, you can imagine, arguing going uh, on the court. Uh, I do hold out hope for Amy to, not exercise her handmaiden ways, but instead to vote with the women. I suspect she may, because she was really holding, whose lawyer's feet to the fire on this question in this hearing. So there's a lot of arguing because they don't know what to do. They put themselves in this situation. Third card is the child, then Clover, then clouds. Here's the thing. So there's a lot of arguing on the court because they don't know what to do. Remember, the book is about stuff we don't know. This is a new thing for them because there's really a blurring of the lines between the three branches. And so what do? Because they run the risk of infantilizing themselves. This is the child card. They run the risk of taking away their own power, making themselves toothless by voting 47's way on this. They also have to do this really fast. Certainly before they leave for summer vacation, which I think is July 1st. So they have like a month and a half to make this decision on what to do. And they really don't know. But I'm going to pull some clarifiers. It's very interesting that the whole line really just wants us to get the energy of what a tough situation they've created for themselves and how they really don't know what to do. So let's pull a couple of clarifiers. Uh, I'm just going to pull clarifiers on the last two cards, pulling clarifiers on the clover and on the clouds. Okay, so clover, I said that they really need to do this quickly. They need to be committed to the rule of law, which of course is the opposite of the rule of 47. They need to be committed to the rule of law, or else they self-immolate. They blow themselves up. They set themselves on fire, the court. And then we only have one branch of government left because we already know that you know, the Congress is compromised. Now, the other cards as clarifiers, so we have that ring, which means that they need to be quick with the clover. They need to be quick and they need to be committed to the rule of law. But look, I'm always fascinated when these two cards come up next to each other. And I always say, if you went to the SPCA to get a pet and they offered you a fox or a dog, if you're smart, you'll take the dog. But, if you kind of squint and look through a filter, they can kind of look the same. Uh, and there will be a lot of fast talking on the part of his lawyers to make the case for why 47 should be not abridged in his power, that they should just give him more power. Uh, so I don't love that. The last card, though, was the clouds. And I really think that there are going to be people, and I'm going to say Amy is one, who are going to, and Roberts could be another, but he's such a wild card. Roberts, too, could say, oh my God, what did we do? What did we do? Whatever we did, he saw fit to thank me when he gave his State of the Union address. Thanks, I won't forget what you did. That's what 47 said to him. 47 knows who gave him unfettered access to power. And Roberts looked sick at the time. I bet he's really sick now. So could Roberts and Barrett be the ones who flip the script on 47? The clarifiers are the tree, the young man, and the stork. And I'm going to say yes. For the sake of posterity, continuity of the country, the nation, I think that Barrett and Roberts will side with the the women, the more liberal side of the court, because the stork is about positive change. But they might draw this out until the really 11th hour because I can mirror this stork with the whip. This is tough. I wouldn't want to be, well, I would want to be in their seats because if I were in their seats, it would be game over. 47 would not have presidential immunity. So I think they are really losing sleep over this. How do you unring the bell that they rang by giving him this power? But I think they're going to try to find a way to to curtail his power. Okay, and then finally, this last one. Okay, this is so fun. All right, so I told you I write on Substack. Let me repeat again that I am a bestseller on Substack. So excited about that. Please do go. You can look up my name, Erica with a K, Robinson, or go to In the Company of Cards on Substack because my Substack and my YouTube's name is the same. And anyway, this was somebody else on Substack. So, so the Substack is by the Mouthy Renegade Writer. And they didn't do what I'm about to tell you, but somebody else did this thing that they wrote about. So we have here what they did was so the person who actually is the author is Aaron Manley Smith. And what I'll do, I'll put him in as a keyword or something or in the description. But anyway, this guy, Aaron Manley Smith, decided to ask ChatGPT about what the deal was with Trump's bulleted ear. Like, was that real? I mean, did he really get shot? I mean, how do you go from wearing like a sanitary napkin on your ear, remember that big, huge thing you had, to like nothing? Okay. The question was that they asked that they asked ChatGPT was this: does this look more like a wound suffered from an AR-15 grazing or theatrical makeup quickly applied? They came up with one, two, three, four reasons why this wound, this ear wound, uh, was not an AR-15 grazing. Number one, and I'll be quick about this. Now, you can go and read it. I'll put the link if I can up so you can see the article for yourself. But I'm going to ask the cards. I mean, which one was it? Did he really get shot, poor thing? Or was this all staged? And I'll tell you what, if it was all staged, somebody died. Just saying. Okay, this is ChatGPT, who theoretically has no vested interest in the outcome, in the answer one way or the other. They're just doing the analysis. Okay. Why, this is what ChatGPT says, why this does not look like an AR-15 grazing wound. Number one, lack of tissue trauma. An AR-15 round, even with a grazing, would cause shredded or torn skin, visible cartilage damage, swelling, deformation, burn-like effects. The image that we have of 47 before he had the big bandage on his ear, when he comes up, from being down on the ground, there is none of that. Number two, so the ear is intact. There's no swelling, no trauma, no deformation, nothing. Okay, number two, he had blood on his face. So there's that. But the blood is clean and controlled in terms of its trail on the face. Real blood from a gunshot graze would be messy, unpredictable, and actively flowing. And it would follow gravity in irregular patterns. And it would soak through clothing, run into hairlines and neck folds. But the blood in this picture appears strategically placed in thin lines, drips in parallel curves like art direction, not biology. This is ChatGPT saying this, not me. And it stops short of reaching the collar because God forbid should we get blood on 47's collar. He'd freak out. There's no pooling. There's no saturation. The color and viscosity of the blood makes it suspect. Blood from a fresh graze would be bright red, and then it would quickly oxidize to brown. And having various viscosities would depend on clotting and trauma. But the blood in the photograph is uniform in color, syrup-like. Can anybody say fake blood-like? It has the glossy theatrical look of fake blood used in movies or Halloween kits. And it sits on top of the skin instead of blending into the pores or running down naturally. Also, uh, the expression on 47's face. Someone just grazed by a high velocity round should show signs of shock, pain, discomfort, have muscle tension in the jaw, be disoriented. But in the photograph, Trump's face looks calm and posed. There's no tension around his eyes, jaw, or forehead. His mouth is relaxed, not clenched, not grimacing. And he's aware of the picture being taken. Now, listen, I mean, I have this on my phone and I would hold up the camera so you could see the picture, but I don't think YouTube would like it because there's blood in it, so I'm not going to do that. But you can look for it yourself. Go look for this guy's Substack. So the final verdict of ChatGPT is because of uh, because there's no traits of a high velocity grazing gunshot wound, it displays hallmarks of intentional staging. Controlled blood, intact anatomy, no sign of real trauma, perfect photographic drama. This isn't a battlefield injury, it's propagandistic theater. Mm, 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 mm. So I'm going to ask the cards, what was up with that? Was that real or was it Memorex? And for you young people, that's an old commercial. Is it real or is it Memorex? Is it real or is it fake? So I'm going to use the scythe because the scythe is, it's a sharp instrument, and that card stands for lots of things. But here we're going to um, have it stand for that event, that grazing. And I just want to see what the cards have to say about it. So we're going to look for the scythe. Okay, popped up. Okay, so this is that grazing of the ear, supposedly. So I have my five, and I'm gonna pull some clarifiers. And then maybe I'll pull my three-card postscript over there. Okay. All right. I'm just going to give you the short version. So, because I know this has been a long video. So, oh, and I have a reading right now. You know what? Hold on. Sorry, but I mean, this is too good to stop what I'm doing. Okay, so I showed you those cards. Okay, the clarifiers. Here he is. We have the tower, the star, and the key. So, this is before the election, if you recall. He really wants to be the guy in the White House. And he figures this situation will be great for television and will make him look like a hero and give him the lock on the election. So I do feel he was in on it. That's the first thing to know. Um, and it was all very confusing, right? I mean, there have been no doctor's reports except for Dr. Ronnie, no hospital report, none of that. So what's that all about? But somebody will be blowing a whistle on this. Somebody already has blown a whistle on it. Chat GPT for one. Okay, so we're going to find out the real truth. Um, this is the attack, supposed attack, to make it look like he was in danger of violence all around him, but he knew that it would make people stop and talk. Stop and talk. Clarifiers for the child. This was really an immature and amateur um, thing. So we have the snake, the mice, and the bouquet. The bouquet tells me it was staged. This is the card for visual and performing arts. It was staged, and really, What an evil, malevolent thing to do. Somebody died in this thing. And then we have Clover, and we have Dog, Young Man, and Ring. You know, it was meant to make him look um, heroic, right? And in an instant is what these cards say to me. In the end, with Lily, Moon, and Coffin, to whatever degree he thinks that this made him look good, his reputation will be shredded by this when the truth really does come out. And again, this is ChatGPT saying this, not me. So anyway, I'm late for a reading. I'm never late for a reading, but I got carried away on given the subject matter. Like, share, subscribe, and check out my Sunday conversation, and I will see you very soon. Take care.